Buddha was born wealthy. Christ had abundance wherever he went. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, became wealthy and extremely resourceful. And Krishna was known for his opulence. My point being, spiritual niggas make it seem as if being wealthy and rich is diametrically opposed to being spiritual. But I want you to take a look at this list. Some of the world's most profound authors of spiritual literature became wealthy or were born even wealthy. Even think about Moses. Moses was born into a wealthy Egyptian household. My point being, this video is going to be for those who want to attain material wealth, understanding that that is a reflection of the abundance of the creator. Now, if you're one of them niggas that want to play the apathetic game where you pretend that being spiritual, I don't care about money and being money, it's not about, then leave this video, because it's not even going to make sense, because you're playing a fake game. And what you're really doing without realizing is operating out of the frequency of apathy based upon the condition that most people go through economically within our reality, right? They end up deciding that wealth isn't for them, so on and so forth, and they attempt to spiritualize poverty. There's nothing noble or spiritual about being poor. And I want you to understand that. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand how you need to be wealthy in order to activate the God mind. The only way that you will be able to activate the God mind is by being as rich as fuck. Now, it's very important for you to understand that typically whenever you see people in the realm of spirituality, they like to play the game that they don't care about money, so on and so forth. And if you're one of those people who feel like money is opposed to spirituality, then by the end of this video, I'll actually convince you why being rich is actually one of the pathways to successfully activating the God mind. Because the chances are you live in a society where money is something that matters. So let's skip the bullshit games of niggas pretending like they don't care. Because it's just ridiculous to me. Whenever I see one of them spiritual niggas talking about they don't care about money, so on and so forth, I just know you're lying, because you have to care about money, especially when you find out how money is actually linked to your state of consciousness. Now, AJ was just telling me that supposedly your ad revenue goes down the more you cuss. Well, I hope you niggas understand by now that I really don't care about that. I'm just going to give you the information regardless of however you find it. And someone actually commented something along the lines of, how are you able to just talk for 40 minutes with no cuts? It's because I really know the stuff I'm talking about. Like, I really know the stuff that I'm talking about. Now, I want you to understand this. When we're talking about what's considered to be the God mind, another way of saying this is the Most High. But people never actually conceptualize the Most High what? But it's actually the Most High frequency. Another way of saying that is the highest level of consciousness. Now, this is a frequency that you can tap into at any given moment, but based upon the way the world is set up, especially society, from an economic point of view, more people are often towards the lower end. So if I make this the highest frequency, and for here, we can just call this survival paradigm, which is the circumstances in which most of us actually grow up, you can see these are really and truly opposite frequencies. So what's considered to be God, the Most High frequency, enlightenment, is the complete opposite polarity of what we consider to be survival mode. Now, you have to understand this. And this is why I say, you need to skip all those games, and you do need to care about accumulating as much money as possible. Because when you're living in a survival paradigm, and maybe you didn't grow up in one, but for those of us who grew up in one, the only thing that you're concerned with in survival mode is surviving. And surviving comes with a particular type of frequency, and that is a frequency that's considered to be low. It is quite literally the opposite of the highest frequency, which is God. So how could you possibly tap into God while you're surviving, struggling to pay bills, thinking about how you're going to feed your family, thinking about how you're going to make it through the month? How is it possible to tap into the God mind when you're struggling financially? So you need a complete recreation, a reconstruction around money, and I'm going to deliver that to you in this video, the pure metaphysics of money, so you can actually shift your frequency, so you can actually have the capability to be so free from paralyzing thoughts about finances and making it by, so you can actually tap into the highest level of consciousness. Because I always say, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. And if you want to control your reality, why wouldn't you want to make sure you're as abundant as you can possibly be? This is why I don't buy into the games when people want to play and act as if, oh, I don't care about money, you know, I'm just doing this because of the spirit. It's just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And it's so fake. It's so fake, it's funny. You have to care about these things. For most of us in this realm of knowledge, we like this knowledge because it helps us evolve our state of consciousness. And if you want to raise to the highest levels, it's going to be pretty hard to do that when you're worried about bailiffs at the door or debt collectors trying to take things away from you. So you truly do have to master this energy that we're talking about when we speak of money. Nah, spiritual niggas are hilarious, man. They're hilarious. Guys, anybody who makes spirituality their personality, get away from them. Because the personality comes from the etymological origin of the word persona, persona meaning mask. It's just a mask. It's just the outfit that they're wearing. And if you buy into that, you're unfortunately going to fall into the religion of spirituality, which is involving a whole bunch of stuff that me personally, I'm not down for. When you grow up broke, the last thing I'm gonna do is go back to being broke. That's the last thing that I'm gonna do. Real shit. Now, we need to entirely reconstruct the way that you view things. Because unfortunately, you've been fed, whether from religious indoctrination or spiritual nigga indoctrination, that money is opposed to spirituality. And I want you to understand this, which is something that you've probably never heard of, and it's completely, you know, contradictory to everything that you could possibly think. But here's the thing. And make sure you're taking them notes and leaving them in the comments, because I can guarantee you, you're about to hear things you've never heard before. Money is spiritual. Who's ever told you that? Money is spiritual. Your mind is probably like, what? This doesn't make sense. But you have to understand that spiritual is a word that has become loaded with all these pretentious meanings. And here's the thing. People think that spiritual means holy or good. And guess what? Oh. And guess what? It's neither. That's not what spiritual means. Which is why it's funny when people do all this mass shit and act holier than thou. I'm not here to act holier than thou. I was drinking last week. Way more than I should have. Way more than I should have. Now, what spiritual really and truly means is simply the unseen. It is the underlying energy behind reality. That's what spiritual means. So when I say to you money is spiritual, in your head you're thinking money has something to do with being good or bad. And that's a whole bunch of programming that you've received, which you have on an unconscious level, which is actually blocking you from being able to absorb the universal flow. Because if we're going to be real, let's not play the games. If the creator, whether that's God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, or not really him, but whatever you want to call that particular form of energy, if that creator is an infinite creator, then abundance is an aspect of infinite. So if you're not having abundance, how could you think you're possibly aligned with the creator? How could you possibly think you're aligned with the universal flow? Understanding what I'm saying, spiritual doesn't mean holy or good. It just means unseen. It just means energy, really and truly. And here's the thing about reality. Reality is comprised of particles. Particles comprise of subatomic particles. And as you go into the realm of quantum mechanics, you'll discover that subatomic particles are comprised of what's considered wave potentials. Wave potentials are simply waves of energy without form. And once you understand that really and truly this is all reality, is nothing more than wave particles, and then if you look into a quantum mechanical experiment called the observer effect, you'll see that it is actually your attention, your consciousness, that causes these waves to solidify and slow down their vibration to then materialize into reality by becoming particles, then subatomic particles, and then eventually matter. So when I tell you that money is spiritual, what I really mean is money is energy. And until you learn to master the energy of money, you'll never experience it the way that you want. And I promise you, you're gonna learn. So stick around. You're gonna get some. No diddy. You're gonna get some. In fact, you're gonna get a whole lot more than some. It's gonna be coming like crazy. Pause. Now, like I just broke down, on a simplistic level, money is just energy. And the more that you're able to master this energy of money, the easier it'll be for you to have the potentiality to tap into the God mind, the God frequency. How the hell are you going to tap into the God frequency and you're struggling to pay bills? It doesn't even make sense. Which is why what I'm about to tell you will help you change all the struggle that you've been going through financially. And this doesn't just stop at what's considered broke people. You know, I have clients who have 8-figure companies and seven-figure companies that struggle with cash flow sometimes. So these are things that we all experience no matter what level you're on. Of course, the scarcity is relative, but understanding this energy is going to change everything. Now, what is money? What do you think money is? What is money? Numbers on the screen. Is it cash? Or let me guess, you're one of them smart niggas that said money isn't real. I know you, man. Neither. They're all wrong. All of them. Now, of course, we can go down into the origins of how the banking system is complete falsehood by going into the creature of Jekyll Island when some of the world's most powerful families created this banking system. But for the purposes of pure metaphysics, I'm helping you have the ability to control your reality, to create your reality without all the woo-woo fluff and all of that stuff. I'm not with all of that. I'm sure you could already tell that in the first couple of minutes of seeing me. Now, what is money? You should be saying, money is energy. That's what money really is. So I need you to step away from the way that you've been taught to conceptualize money and see it for what it really is, which is energy. Because once you see money as energy and you understand that you are energy, so long as you're able to align yourself with the flow of money. Why do you think money is called a currency? And a current is a flow of air or water. Specifically, let's take the concept of water. The side of a river is called a river bank. Where does money stop? Money stops in banks. Money's supposed to flow. You're supposed to flow. Your energy is supposed to flow. But when you're struggling to accumulate one type of money or another, what that really is resonant of is that there's a blockage somewhere. More than a blockage, you're stopping the currency from being able to flow. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell you how to master here, so stick around. Now, I just told you money is energy, and you're like, huh? What do you mean money is energy? Or you're one of them smart niggas that are like, I already knew money was energy. But let me explain how, so you can actually understand it in a way past being able to be a smart person, so a way that you can actually use it. Man, I got all these pens. This is cool. So money is energy. Why is money energy? Well, money really and truly is an exchange of value. And value is the most important word here. Money is an exchange of value. And what's all value based upon, whether you realize this or not? All value, whether you realize this or not, and listen to what I'm about to say, all money or value is based upon emotion. Now, I want you to start for a moment. Think of a single purchase you've ever made in your life, not desiring some type of emotion. Why did you buy that t-shirt? Because you liked the way it looked. It would make you feel different. Why did you buy those socks? In your mind ahead of time, you knew they'd give you a level of comfortability. Why did you buy those sweets from the shop? Because you had a particular craving that you wanted to satisfy. Why did you buy that burger? Because you wanted to eat something, pause, to feel a different type of way. Why did you buy that MacBook? Because you're a fake PC user and MacBooks are terrible. Windows forever. But anyways, you get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. Every single thing that you buy, even something as small as a toothpick to a toothbrush, to a car, to a house, to some shoes, to some shades, to a phone, each and every single purchase has always been reliant upon emotion. Whether subtle, whether obvious, it's always reliant upon emotion, whether implicit or explicit. And what is emotion, ladies and gentlemen? Energy, emotion. That is why money is energy. There's not a single purchase that's made with money that's not an exchange of value. Value is always reliant upon emotion. I just explained that to you. So now in your head, you should be having a light bulb moment. I understand why money is energy, Nero, but how do I actually put this into practical terms so I can use it to align myself with the universal flow so I can actually absorb that abundance that I want? Stick around, you're gonna get some. Understanding that emotion is energy, emotion, and energy, emotion always emits an energetic signature that we call a vibration. And then that vibration then becomes a frequency. That frequency then becomes a reality. It's important for you to understand that the entire game of money is a game of emotions. What do you think markets comprised out of? Why do you think there's something called a fear and greed index when you're looking at the stock market or crypto market? It's because these markets are reliant on emotion. Why? Because emotion moves the market, because money is energy, and energy in the context of money is an exchange of value, and an exchange of value is always emotion. Always. So then I'd like to ask you a question. And this question will be very revealing. This question will be very, very revealing. And I already know what your answer is. Somebody said it feels like I'm reading you guys' minds. I'm a psychic. I'm joking. I think it's mad cringe when niggas walk around saying they're psychics and clairvoyants and stuff like that. I don't know though. That's not to say that that stuff's not real. I just feel like the overwhelming majority of people, it's like how every pastor speaks tongues, nigga, but I've never heard of somebody who translates tongues. it just doesn't make sense. But anyways, if we understand that money is an energy that is resonant of emotion, and I'll write that here so you don't forget. Then that would mean that the flow of money that you experience in reality is largely based on your emotions. And when you're in a survival paradigm, it feels like money is beating you up. It feels like money is the worst nigga alive. You don't even want to think about money, because the emotions that you experience within a survival paradigm, which I want you to remember, if we conceptualize the God mind or the God frequency to be at the top of the scale, and I'll get AJ to pull up the level of Hawkins, levels of consciousness scale by Dr. David R. Hawkins, and we imagine the complete opposite of that to be a survival mode paradigm, which you'll see in the image, right? There's three aspects: spiritual paradigm, God consciousness, and then finally at the bottom, survival mode. One thing that I want to emphasize about survival mode from a physiological perspective is when you're acting from survival mode, you're acting from a part of your brain called the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is the oldest part of your brain. It's known as your primal brain. This is why in the Bible they say the mark of the beast will be in the head, because the mark of the beast is the aspect of you representative of your animal self, your lower self. This is why survival mode, when you're operating in survival mode and you're just focused on paying your bills and just barely making it by and getting to the end of the month, you're operating physiologically from a point of your brain known as the basal ganglia, which is the primal brain, which is associated with your animal self. So if we're going to tap into the God mind, you have to understand that uphold these two being complete opposite frequencies. If you need to be as rich as possible to have the ability to be free from worrying about paying bills and stress and so on and so forth, then you need to be as rich as possible before you have the prerequisite to tapping into the God mind. Because like I said, you know, unless you're living in the Amazon forest, you need money. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're watching this from the Amazon forest, then I'm amazed, and I'm really amazed. I'm really impressed. But going back to what I was saying, if money is energy and energy is emotion, the flow of money that you experience in reality is largely dependent upon your emotion. I want you to think about something. The largest transfers of money, billions, are made via satellite communications. Satellite communications utilize radio waves. Radio waves are a form of manipulated energy that are passing through you right now. Where I'm sat and where AJ sat right there, there's radio waves passing through us right now, which means there's billions worth of money and energy passing through you right now. The game is helping you redirect that energy towards yourself instead of it passing through you. In the same way a pastor tells all the church members to do one of these towards the crowd, without realizing that when your hands are up like that, you're projecting energy from your hands. Why do you think when pastors touch people's heads, some people faint? It's because energy dissipates here and it slows down here. And when you touch somebody's head, well, there you go. But anyways, understanding what I said, if you do not have the ability, in fact, before I go there, let me ask you this question. Very, very, very revealing question. And I want you to write this down because this will help you understand why you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing when it comes to money. And this will actually help you get onto the path to being rich as possible, to tap into the God mind. Simple question. How do you feel when spending money? I'll tell you right now, growing up in a survival frequency, I hated spending money. It was the worst thing ever. Like, if I had to pay to eat, I'd be like, sometimes I'd be like, should I even eat right now? Should I just save the bread? Like, is it even worth it? And I can almost say certainly that you hate spending money. And this is something that I get all my clients to think about, especially when they're paying their employees or they're paying contractors, because the most important word in this entire question is, how do you feel when spending money? Because here's the thing, if we understand money to really, truly at the heart be a form of emotion, then how you feel while engaging money matters more than you'll ever know, because how you feel, that emotion releases a frequency. And the frequency that you feel when you experience money is matched to money. And that frequency affects money's ability to circulate to you. If you're spending money and you hate spending money, it's the worst thing ever, and even taking money out of your hand is like this, then of course those particular form of emotions are going to project themselves onto the energy that money is. And that energy of the frequency emitted from your emotions is going to affect the vibratory rate of that money. And when that vibratory rate of the money is slowed down, it affects the currency's ability to flow to you. How do you feel when you spend money? If you could simply make yourself and simply decide to feel amazing when you spend money, whether you're paying for petrol, whether you're paying for food, whether you're buying sweets at the shop, whether you're buying a bottle of Henny or Ray and Nephews, If you can make yourself feel amazing each and every single time that you're spending money, then the emotion that you project onto the money is going to alter the vibratory rate of that money to make sure that it flows straight to you. But when you're stressed and you're worried and you're anxious and you're thinking, oh my God, this couldn't have come at a worse time, oh, man, I really don't want to spend this money right now. What you're doing is affecting the energy of money. And when you affect the energy of money, you affect the currency. And when you affect the currency, you affect how it can really flow to you in a way that will sustain the life that you want to create. And I remember I was going through this thing where the universe would just take money from me. And here's the thing, if you're ever going through that thing where you feel like the universe is just trying to take your money, you get a parking ticket for no reason, something breaks, someone needs to borrow money, so on and so forth. What that is nothing more than the universe trying to bring you down to the energetic equilibrium of the state the universe has an indication that you are of. What I mean by that is, if you're somebody who the universe has calibrated to make a certain amount of money, once you've approach that threshold and you're going beyond it, the universe will do its best to pull you back down by causing all these particular events of emotional frustration. And through that emotional reaction, it will bring you back down to that level, because even though you're making more than you should in an instance, or you make more than you normally do, the universe has you registered at a certain level, it will do its best to bring you down to that level. You need to be as rich as possible, and I'm going to keep saying this. I'm really going to keep saying this over and over and over again. Because to be honest, if you're one of those people who are like, oh, money's not important and I'm just going to go live in the forest and do all of this extra silly shit, then I don't even know why you're here, to be honest. Because my only aim for this entire video is to put you in a point or a level of consciousness like the prophets in the Bible who went up onto the mountain before they said, oh God, Genesis 32:30, for the place that I have seen the face of God is called Pineal. All of these prophets, whether Elijah, Jesus, or Moses, before they encountered the most high frequency, they went up onto the mountain. The mountain is representative of having an elevated perspective, which is exactly what I'm giving you for money, because so long as you continue to see money as numbers on a screen or cash, so long as you begin to experience negative emotions when you're exchanging money, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're in survival mode. And so long as you stay in survival mode, the complete opposite direction of the God mind, how can you truly ever elevate? I'm diagnosing you right now. This is what you're suffering from. A money guilt complex. I'll prove it to you. I want you to say right now, I like money. Say it. You probably felt really awkward saying that. It almost felt wrong. You've almost felt a bit criminal for saying, I like money. You felt like it's something that you really shouldn't say. It's not really a good thing to say. And I have to get you to understand that guilt is a corrosive frequency. Well, it's a corrosive emotion, and it acts as a repelling frequency. And the spiritual community and the religious community have brainwashed you into adopting this guilt money complex. You feel bad for it. You feel wrong for even saying it. But I'm going to need you to break past that. So I want you to comment, I like money. There's nothing wrong with liking money. Now in the Bible, it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which isn't true, because there's plenty of evil things that have nothing to do with money that I would speak about, but a nigga ain't trying to get shut down on YouTube. But you can understand what I'm saying if you're a smart person. Those type of crimes have nothing to do with money. That's just sick individuals. So that's incorrect in the Bible. But see, even you thinking that the Bible is wrong in that sentence, it's almost like, is that really? No, money is not the root of all evil. Sorry, the love of money is not the root of all evil. Evil and money have nothing to do with another. Money is simply an energy that you control. And here's the thing about money. It will always reflect your state of consciousness. And I actually believe it's the lack of money that is the root of evil. Not all evil, but more evil than the love of it. And here's the thing. They've brainwashed you into thinking the people that like money are evil, as opposed to the people who don't have money, because they know you're probably somebody who doesn't have the amount of money you want to experience, so it's easier for you to project that blame onto other people. But I need you to understand, so long as you have a money guilt complex, the frequency of guilt is exactly what's repelling you from money. And you need to break this by understanding this. This is the most important thing. While abundance was sold to you as a privilege, only for some niggas, whether your parents said, "Oh, that's not for people like us," or those people, those things for them. Abundance was sold to you as a privilege, but it is your birthright. It is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. I'm saying it to get it into your head that you have to understand that when it comes to money and having a particular form of an abundant life, it is your birthright. It is not a privilege. So long as you see it as a privilege based upon the frequency of you believing that it is a privilege, then it will be experienced in your reality as a privilege. If you're going to see money as a privilege, then you better start seeing yourself as privileged. If not, then you have to see it as your birthright, because you deserve to be rich. Now, don't ask me, I'm broke. You know what I'm saying? Before niggas start saying, "Oh, I'm broke," don't say anything to me. All jokes aside, abundance is your birthright. You deserve to be rich. And this is something that you're going to have to wrap your mind around, because until you can do that, you're going to be plagued by the money guilt complex. The money guilt complex has a particular form of a repelling frequency that repels you from money. How can you, in one hand, and this is the thing, I grew up seeing this all the time in the churches. I grew up seeing people pray to God for money, and I was one of those individuals. We would pray, but then we would have this particular state of consciousness. And what you have to understand about prayer is that prayer, they lied to you. Prayer isn't a verbal thing. They told you that prayer is you talking out loud and asking to God. No, prayer is a mental declaration of your ownership. That's what true prayer is. That's the esoteric prayer. And here's the thing, you can pray for money all day, but what are you mentally declaring? And more often than not, we're mentally declaring ourselves to be in a state of poverty. Now, I'm gonna break down multidimensionally right now how you can begin to experience more money in your reality. Because here's the thing, if money is a particular form of energy, and we understand energy or the universe to be comprised of matter, and matter is comprised of particles, and those particles are comprised of subatomic particles, which are comprised of wave potentials, and wave potentials are nothing more than unmanipulated energy. So long as I can get you to manipulate that energy, you're going to experience the money that you want. Damn, I was cooking, man. Yeah. And call me Gordon Nero Ramsay. Now, the cherry on the cake, as you could say, of everything that I just spoke about is understanding multidimensionally how to shift your frequency into a state where you can experience more money. Because without this, if you don't listen to what I'm about to say in the next couple of minutes, everything that I've said prior to this will be for absolute nothing. So don't waste my time and don't waste yours. And someone asked me, why don't I ask you guys to subscribe? Because the truth is, I don't care. That's the truth. Which is funny considering that I've grown to like 30,000 followers in the space of 2 weeks, subscribers in the space of 2 weeks. But the reason I don't care is because I know for a fact that those who are serious about controlling their reality without all the fluff and new age stuff and expecting me to have vegan sandals and 10 ankhs and 50 crystals and dreads, I know the people that are just down for the knowledge with the unfiltered stuff, which is why I talk on a whiteboard, I know they will subscribe. So if you're one of those people, then I already know you subscribe. And if you're not, then nigga, I don't know what you want me to say. You have to understand on a multi-dimensional level. And when I say multi-dimensional, I'm referring to reality being comprised across 3 planes, but for the purpose of what I'm about to say, I'm going to split it into 2 particular planes. So if we look at a multi-dimensional explanation of money, if we look at a multi-dimensional explanation of money, you have to understand that there's 3 planes, and this is the foundation. These are the principles of reality, not techniques. I'm not about to tell you about the 369 method and how to do your vision board and the best way to say affirmations and subliminals. I'm giving you principles, not techniques. The universe isn't fucking software that has updates and this is the latest method that works. And no, what will work, and as it says in the Bible, he is as he was yesterday, as he is today. And it's because consciousness never changes. Consciousness is eternal. And the way that consciousness moves will always be in the way that I'm about to break it down to you. So there's 3 planes of existence: physical plane, mental plane, and spiritual plane. Understanding this, a multi-dimensional explanation of money, you need to make sure that you're aligned across all 3 planes. So what most people do in the first category, 98%, because that's just the number they use in typical spiritual literatures, 98% of the world work hard. They work hard while desiring to make more money. They work extremely hard, 60, and this is the type of thing I saw my mom experience growing up. You know, single mom, nurse, you already know the picture. She's working extremely hard, one of the hardest people I've ever met. And in this particular plane, people typically work hard while having the mental attitude of poverty. Mental attitude, where that's comprised of beliefs, identity, thoughts, emotional conviction, and attention, as mentioned in my other videos. So if you haven't watched my other videos, go back and watch them because they're not blowing up for no reason. Now, understanding mental attitude emits a frequency. So a lot of people will work extremely hard while having a mental attitude, a frequency of poverty. And here's the thing. What matters more than the physical work, because physical work is the lowest level of consciousness. I'm going to say that again. Physical work is the lowest level of consciousness. An animal can take action. I'm not saying you're an animal, but I'm saying you're acting like one. Now, understanding that, the mental plane is where fewer people actually exist. Now, the mental plane is actually the cause of reality. One thing I didn't mention about the physical plane is that it's the realm of effect. It's effect. It is effect. It is effect. It is effect. The mental plane is the causal realm. What most people try to do, they try to change reality by changing reality. Nigga, does it make sense to change an effect by changing an effect? No, that doesn't make sense. If you want to change the effect, you must change the cause. And the cause is always going to be the mental attitude that you begin to adopt on the physical plane. So let's say you're making 30K a month. You're making 30K a month and you want to start making 50K a month. Well, the first thing that you need to do isn't to work hard and try and do more strategies and systems. The first thing you need to do is adopt the mental attitude of somebody resonant of the reality that you want at 50K per month. And this works on all levels. I don't care if you're making 1K a month, 2K a month, $500 a month. Whatever it is that you want to attain, you first need to be before you can become. You be first by adopting the mental attitude and deciding mentally that I'm already making 50K. Don't worry about everything else because your mind is finite. Your mind being finite means it cannot conceive of the multitude of ways to which your manifestation can unfold. But the mind of God, which is infinite and within you, can worry about the way that these things are going to unfold. The path illuminates as you walk it. So don't worry about how you're going to do this and how you're going to get there. The first thing you need to do is to prioritize the mental plane, which is the causal realm, by adopting the mental attitude of what you want. When I'm saying mental attitude, I'm just going to break it down, even though I've broken it down 100 times, because I want you to understand beliefs, identity, attention, thoughts, and emotional conviction. Once you can adopt, for whatever level that you're at, the target of whatever you want to be first, and tick off each one of these factors, and then do the work physically, That is how you multidimensionally elevate where you are. So financially, if you want to attract more money, nigga, you need to decide you are more money. And this is something I said to AJ. You know what I'm saying? I won't get into bro's finances because I ain't trying to get bro in trouble or anything like that. But he came to me at a point where he wanted to make a certain amount of money. And I told him, you are more money. And we had to prove that. He literally told all his clients that he's doubling his prices. And they all left him. And I felt bad for like 2 days. But then now he's doubled and maybe even tripled the level he was at only a couple months ago. Because you first, before you can become, even look at the word become, pause, it's first be. You need to be before you can become. And the way that you do that is by adopting all of these things, adopting the mental attitude, the frequency of the financial level that you're at or you want to be at, and then taking the work physically. So instead of trying to change an effect by changing an effect like everybody else does, you change the cause first, which is the mental plane always, which you do that by changing the mental attitude, beliefs, identity, attention, thoughts, emotional conviction. Then you take the physical action, and that is how you break past whatever financial level you're ever going to be stuck at. So before thinking, I want to attract more money, actually make sure you've ticked off each one of those things, because I can guarantee you these are the things that output to your frequency. Your frequency is the product code for the reality that the universal Amazon warehouse is going to send to you. You cannot have more money before you be more money. You need to be rich before the world proves it to you. And don't take my advice. I'm just a broke nigga. What would I know? Now, going back to this, you have to understand, you really do have to understand what abundance is. You have to understand what abundance is, because everybody wants abundance, but nobody knows what it is. And here's the thing, you think you know what it is. You think you know. But don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you. Why? Because I like you. You're still watching, I like you. I don't know how many minutes I am into this video, but somebody said, how do you just talk like for so long without realizing that you're dropping all these bars? And it's because for me, this really feels like 5 minutes. I feel like I've been doing this for 5 minutes because I genuinely love this information, because I feel like within the spiritual community, there's just so much BS. Like, as you can see, I'm not your typical spiritual archetype of what you think, but best believe, show me another nigga that can talk in front of a whiteboard for however long this is, maybe 30, 40 minutes maybe. And for the people that are offended that I say nigga, I'm sorry. In fact, I'm not sorry. That wasn't the truth. I'm not sorry. Just pretend you don't hear that. And if that word affects your ability to take in information, then you shouldn't even be here to begin with. You really got to bypass small things that affect your ego like that. Like, why are you offended by that? Why people are more offended than black people with that? I love them. Now, what was I saying? Yes, what is abundance? What is abundance? Now, AJ, at the same time, we're gonna say an amount of money that's abundant to both of us. 3, 2, 1, 10 billion. He said 100 mil, I said 10 billion. My point being, typically where we see abundance as a number, it clearly can't be a number, because he said a different number, I said a different number, and if you go ask somebody else, they're going to say a different number. So if abundance isn't a number, which you think it is, then what can it truly be? Abundance is a state. And it is a state where you are free from worry. You desire nothing. You're in a state of peace, state of bliss. But more importantly, you have more than enough. That's what abundance really and truly is. Abundance is a frequency. Now, in your mind, you think I need to make X amount of money before I can feel a particular way. But what I'm going to tell you is that it's actually that feeling, how you'd feel, and all of these things, that is actually what will allow the abundance in your life to flow. And the first thing that I do for my clients when we start working together, by the way, if you're an entrepreneur who's stuck at a revenue ceiling and you want to 2 to 5 extra revenue in the next 7 weeks, link in the description. What I do for my clients immediately is the first thing that I do is to get them into this state right here, where they're free from worry, they desire nothing, they're in a state of peace, bliss, and they're in the feeling that they have more than enough, because this is exactly the frequency that's going to admit abundance. Unfortunately, you cannot have material abundance before you have vibrational abundance. I'm gonna say it like this: before you can have anything physically, you must first have it vibrationally. And this makes sense because when you think about what money is, what is money? Money is energy, largely dependent upon your emotions. So it only makes sense that abundance is a particular frequency, resonant of feeling a particular form of emotions. So if you can allow yourself, and I say allow yourself because in your head you think, I need to achieve this so I can feel this. That's not true. What you need to do is feel this, and then you will achieve this. That's how the real game works. That's how you truly alter your reality financially. Because if you want to tap into the God mind, you first must transcend money the way that you've been taught it, which is what I've spent this entire video discussing. But then you need to gain the ability to allow yourself to just be peaceful, to feel like you have enough. And you think that you need materiality to feel like this, but this is what it means in the Bible when it says, be absent from the body and present with the Lord. Absent from the body, absent from the third dimensional realm that you think is going to make you feel a different way. And you need to be present with the Lord, which is the highest frequency, which is to exist in the desired reality that you already are abundant, by allowing yourself to feel peaceful, doing things that make you feel peaceful, being free from worry, which is something that you think is random, but it's not. It's something that you can control. By having this mental paradigm and understanding, this will put you in a much different position. So with that being said, I ain't got anything else to say. I'll see you in the next one.